Hello everybody, Dominic aka Amon back with another video, and it is currently midnight while I'm editing this to get this out to you guys by tomorrow. So, if you enjoy these videos, please consider subscribing and dropping a like. It really helps me with the motivation to keep going. Anyhow, tonight we're going to be rating two albums we already covered in my shorts, but we'll be giving them a full-on review. Those being Tyler the Creator's Chromakopia, released in 2024, and Don't Tap the Glass, released in 2025, which is why I am wearing this attire. But it is cold, so I'll be changing back into my regular clothes, and we will be rating these albums, starting with a track-by-track breakdown of Chromakopia. Alright, now that we're back in the regular attire, and suited for this cooler Belpre weather in August, I'll be rating these albums. I've also got my coffee mug here. Starting us off, we have Tyler the Creator's Chromakopia, released in October of 2024, and I'll be busting out the handy-dandy notebook here with my notes, of course, because I am pretty forgetful. I smoke a lot, as some of you may know, and I do not have the best memory. In fact, I have the memory of a goldfish, if not worse. So, track 1, Saint Chroma. This track has an amazing build-up. It's a great intro. I feel like it's got almost angelic production starting us off, and the chant at the beginning of the album really gets you into it, literally chanting the title, Chromakopia, Chromakopia, and then you've got the claps going on, and you've got these claps on this track and Ratata. So it really sets the vibe of the album, really sets the tone, and then right after you get through those angelic choirs and the hooks and the "Can you feel the fire?" It hits you with the hard drums, the explosion sound effects, and the abrasive production. When Tyler dropped the music video clip for this and first started promoting this album, just a 2-week rollout, it was the perfect way to do it. I honestly think so. I wouldn't have released any track but this to start off, and that's why personally I gave it a 9 out of 10. Also, I would like to point out before we move on to this next track, Tyler spit a line on there that I just thought was crazy, and someone actually pointed it out in the comments. It's what caught my attention originally. Give a F about tradition, stop impressing the dead. Tyler's basically saying, screw what everyone else did. I'm going to do me. I'm going to do things the way I want them, and I'm going to innovate the art. I'm not going to try to impress anyone else. This is my track 2, as we discussed, Ratata. We've got another solid track here, including the same claps featured on Saint Chroma and throughout the project. It keeps the vibe, and it's got heavy reverb on the snare too, and an interesting choice of sound effects as some of these other tracks do, almost like these little quirky, weird, retro or meme sound effects. But on this track, it doesn't feel forced, and Tyler does a good job at it. It's becoming common in modern music, and I feel this was one of the albums that really started that and really made it work. So cheers to you, Tyler. In terms of the songwriting, it's got solid lyrics and a good flow, but I don't feel like it's one of the catchier tracks. It's got more substance than most music today, and I like it, but it wasn't crazy. I still gave it an 8 out of 10 though for Ratata. Track 3, Noid. Basically a metaphor for paranoid. That's the whole point of the lyrics, and it discusses Tyler's rise to fame in a negative sense and his loss of privacy and personal life. It's heavily carried by the production though, and it's pretty much all made from 2 sections sampled on 2 tracks by the Ngozi family, with some interpolated or pitched up vocals on there, and a little bit of work from Tyler, but not a whole lot. As I said, the production carries it, and it fits the vibe of the album. It's more chill and mellow and orchestral in a way, but I don't care for it as much. Still solid track, so I gave it a 7 out of 10. Track 4, Darling I. The production takes a more upbeat style in a way. It's not happy, but as the other tracks have been, it's more orchestral. It's got the pop vocals and choir on there. It's not as abrasive as some of Tyler's other tracks, and it does fit the vibe of the album, but as I said, it's more chill. A lot more chill, actually. There are pop vocals backing the entire track, it's throughout it, but it's not too in your face. It's not like super wordy either. They're not sitting there singing a hook constantly. It's more of humming and harmonizing than anything, just to carry the song and add to the production. And honestly, I feel like this has some of Tyler's best flows. It's a song about love and finding the true one, but Tyler mentions in the song many times that he'll never find that person who satisfies him like music, and that at the end of the day, he's in love with the art. And he's always finding true love in the art and in experimenting, but he's never gonna find it in a person. At least that's what I got from the track. And I feel like it's one of the better ones, so I gave this one a 9 out of 10, just like Saint Chroma on the intro. Track 5, we've got Hey Jane, real stripped back production, just piano and soft percussion throughout the majority of the track. It's got consistent storytelling here, but it's not meant to be super catchy, It's more of a reflective song than anything. I gave it a 7 out of 10. Track 6, I Killed You. It's got lots of sound effects. This is another one that had a lot of those quirky random elements, and there was another comment on here that I feel like fits it perfectly. Despicable Me type beat. Yeah, yeah, pretty much. I actually didn't like this beat. I feel like that really drug it down, and it made me give it a 6 out of 10, which is sad because this is supposed to be a symbolic metaphor for killing black culture and your heritage and basically covering up your own self-image because you're ashamed of it. And Tyler's trying to break out of that shell and encourage others to do the same. But I feel like the production just weighs it down. So it gets a 6 out of 10, unfortunately. Track number 7, Judge Judy. No correlation to the actual show or Judge Judy, aka Justice Judy now, if she still does it, does she? Anyhow, it keeps with that same mellow pop oriented style. It's got guitar, flute, and melodic keys backing the track. The keys aren't anything crazy, it's just sort of sound effects in your ear occasionally throughout the song. The guitar's what really carries here. It's got a more storytelling oriented vibe similar to Hey Jane, but I didn't really care for this one that much. Yeah, it's a nice song, but nothing amazing. I don't feel like it's a standout track, so I gave it a 7 out of 10 as well. Track number 8, great song. It's got a feature by Lil Wayne, Glorilla, and Sexy Red all on the same track, which is crazy. Uh, Personally, I think it's one of the better tracks on here. It's real catchy. It's got the whistling and the chanting on the hook. It's chanting sticky, it's getting sticky. And then that beat switch or transition right after Lil Wayne's verse is crazy with all the brass going down. And I like the whoop dat trick interpolated on the song as well, which, if you don't know, comes from Hustle and Flow. Nice movie. It's got some of the harder lyrics from Tyler and good lyrics from Wayne. He came with a good performance, especially nowadays, where a lot of people don't give him the credit he deserves, I feel like. And a lot of his performances do tend to fall flat, but this one, he came in clutch. Lil Wayne tends to come in clutch with those feature verses, even if he's fallen flat on some of his own albums and concerts as of lately. Sexy Red and Glorilla, you already know they're coming with that sex talk and that dirty, raunchy talk lyrics all throughout it. They got good verses on here. I could have done without their features. Honestly, I could have just did a Tyler and Wayne track, but hey, still an amazing track. 9 out of 10. Track number 9, we got Take Your Mask Off. It's a solid song, fits with the rest of the album. We go back to that mellow vibe after the hype of Sticky. It's a song about taking off the fake mask and finding the true you, basically expressing who you really are. Like I said, it's nothing impressive, but it does what it's intended to do. 7 out of 10. Track number 10, we've got Tomorrow. And this track is another guitar-oriented song, pretty much all centered around that acoustic guitar, and it's got very stripped-back, simple production. It's also got simple lyrics carried by the beat and the serene backing vocals to hold everything together. So I gave it a 7 out of 10 because it's a consistent listen, but I don't care for it that much. Track number 11, another standout one in my opinion, Thought I Was Dead. It's the hardest solo track on here, unless you want to include maybe Ratata and Saint Chroma, and I personally think Thought I Was Dead is better than Ratata. Some may disagree. It's got a catchy hook, and it's repetitive, but it's a good one. It's also got some of Tyler's best one-liners on this album, with one that always stood out to me being, "Too much drive, I'm a terabyte." So yeah, another great track by Tyler. Another 9 out of 10 on this album. Track number 12, coming close to the end here, we've got Mother, which has more basic production. It's got the claps featured elsewhere on this album and the exhales that kind of signal a beat drop, almost like it's building up, but you never really get that. It just doesn't take off. And it's got almost a Yeezus type outro with the distorted synths going on there. It explores his relationship with his mother, but I feel like it's got an odd choice of production to do this. I was expecting a more serene melodic track or an orchestral type song, something a little more fitting for this album. And it's not that this doesn't fit it, I just feel like it doesn't fit it like I was expecting, if that makes sense. And yeah, while it's a solid track, I debated on giving it a lower score, but it still was saved, and I gave it a 7 out of 10. Track 13, Like Him. This is arguably the best song on the album. It's got a more somber feel, almost with like a Kid Cudi-esque vibe, than an abrasive feel that you got at the beginning of this album or on other tracks throughout it. It's got some piano and a smooth guitar riff as well, and it talks about Tyler's troubles with the fatherless life, growing up with only his mom, trying to be his own man in this world. It's a song that a lot of people in his community can relate to, and a lot of people in general can relate to. And yeah, like I said, I feel like it's one of the best songs on this album, and I do believe it has over 2 million streams now, at least on YouTube alone. So it is one of his bigger songs, and I give this one a 10 out of 10 for those reasons. Track 14, second to last, we've got Balloon. It's got another super basic beat with an almost circus kind of feel. The synth lead just puts me in that kind of mindset, and I don't really like it that much. It's supposed to be a metaphor for ballooning to higher levels of fame and success, and it's got a feature on here that I thought was Nicki Minaj, but nah, it's Doechii. Yeah, I'm not too acquainted with her because I never rated her album, Alligator Bites or whatever it is, on my channel, which I may go do if you all would be interested in that. But I didn't really care for this song that much, and unfortunately, it was not one of the highlights on the album, so I gave this one a 6 out of 10. Final track coming in at number 15. I hope you find your way home. On the production, it's very basic, very repetitive, same style as the rest of the album, but a lot more stripped back. I feel like as you get towards the end of the project, you start to see that the percussive elements pretty much fall out entirely or very mellow or less apparent. The production's not abrasive. It's way more pop oriented, way more focused on the soulful vocals than anything. And it just really takes you away from the rap aspect of Tyler and this project, which it was never meant to be a rap project, anyways. It's just a very genre bending project by a rapper or music artist and producer. But yeah, it's a solid track and it's a solid outro. It goes back and it examines themes from Hey Jane and other songs on the album. However, I don't feel like it was one of the best outros I've ever heard, and it's not one of the best songs on this album. It's a solid track, and it's got a good ending with the synthesizers and the vocals going on. I also like how it signals back to the beginning of this album with the chanting Chromakopia, Chromakopia. So I gave this one an 8 out of 10. Overall, it was a very consistent project, very consistent production, and it's got some of today's best lyrics in the game from Tyler here in all his features. It also sold, I do believe, over 400 or 500,000 copies the first week, some crazy number like that people nowadays just don't usually get, and it obviously held number one on the charts for a week or two. So, this is obviously a good project. I don't feel like it's Tyler's best, even though first week sales may suggest otherwise, but it is a great album, and overall, I would give it a 9 out of 10. Although the average score is a 7.7, I do feel like it is better. And next, we will be rating Tyler's second album in this discussion, that being Don't Tap the Glass. And since we'll be rating this project, I'll go ahead and put the hat back on. Starting us off with track number 1, we have Big Poe. A solid intro, not as great as Saint Chroma on the first album we discussed, but good nonetheless. It's got a bouncy bass line and drums with that 80s triangle chorus synth and turntables throughout the song. It's got some of Tyler's more cocky and confident performances on here, and it's got some interesting lines, to say the least, like this one here. I like light skin like my daddy. So, yeah. Good track, though. Good track. And I gave it a 9 out of 10. Although this is on par with the same score I gave Saint Chroma, and I said Saint Chroma was better, you gotta understand, Saint Chroma is a better intro, and while this may not work better as an intro per se, in my opinion, it's a great track, and it's still a good opening to the album, so I'm willing to give it a 9 out of 10 for Big Poe. Track number 2, Sugar on My Tongue. A lot more catchier, but it's way more pop oriented. And it's not pop oriented in the sense that it's orchestral and sing songish or soulful, but it's pop oriented in the way that it's made to be more of a love song or a catchy little jingle tune, which is very common on this album, despite the title being Don't Tap the Glass, and some of the tracks putting you in mind of a more cocky, confident attitude, as I said before with Big Poe. However, Sugar on My Tongue does have great production and a dope outro there with the synthesizers and vocals going on. I also think it's got some catchy lyrics and a good hook. And there's a solid bridge before the hook as well. Tell your mama, tell your daddy. And it's real good, keeps you going through the album, keeps you intrigued, keeps you hooked. 9 out of 10. Track number 3, Sucker Free. It's got different production, sort of the same vibe as the last track, but even more pop style oriented, going far away from the rap with this one. Both this project and Chromakopia had some rap tracks, but they were a lot more soul oriented or pop oriented or disco oriented than anything. Tyler's really experimenting, and he's done this with all his projects. You see this on Flower Boy and Igor, Call Me If You Get Lost. Even back on Wolf, you would see stuff like this, or before. But yeah, Tyler's always been that way, and he isn't afraid to express that, especially on tracks here like Sucker Free. Flexing is all this song is about. Essentially, Tyler saying he's living his best life, sucker free from everyone else, opposite to all his haters. And while it's a great track, and I do like it, it's still a 7 out of 10 in my opinion, not one of the standout songs on this. Track number 4, we've got Mamanum. And this is an alright track, but it acts more of like a bridge to Stop Playing With Me than anything. And if you listen to both songs side by side, you can tell they flow right into each other. And honestly, I feel like it's more filler than anything, so I gave it a 6 out of 10, not because it's a bad song, but because I could have done without it. Track number 5, as I said, we have Stop Playing With Me. Really hard track, really hard bass, and it's got the claps throughout it, keeping you going. Tyler comes with that cocky, confident attitude again, just like on Big Poe. It's one of the few tracks on here that he really comes with those hard lyrics. Not hard in the sense that he's coming with a bunch of complicated or complex lines, but he's coming with that attitude, and I like that. It's not meant to be complex, but it's meant to get you going. It's only 2 minutes long or so, Solid track, not a 9 out of 10, but not a 7 out of 10. Gave it an 8 out of 10. Track number 6, halfway through, we have Ring Ring Ring. This is another pop-oriented song with the phone sound effect, of course, and I feel like it's got a Jack Stauber vibe almost. My brother agreed, and we actually may rate some of Jack Stauber's albums if you would like on our podcast that we will be doing another episode on recently. Figured I'd plug that. But yeah, it's catchy, it's a love song, it's a good song, 8 out of 10. Track 7, the title track, Don't Tap That Glass / Tweakin'. This is the final hard track on this album. It's got hard bass, those classic 80s orchestral hits, and turntables are back on this one. You've got some catchy lines and a confident flow from Tyler, and you've got a beat switch halfway through the track, roughly, that goes from Don't Tap That Glass to Tweakin'. It's one of the better songs, and I really like this one. This was my favorite track on the album, and while my opinion kind of changed on that a bit, I do feel like this is one of the best, probably my second or third favorite, although some of you may disagree. As such, I gave it a 9 out of 10. Track number 8, we have Don't You Worry Baby. It's back to that pop production vibe, and unfortunately, the hype songs have ended, guys. But some of you may like that. It's got uplifting, beautiful female vocals delivered by Madison McFerrin, and yeah, solid track, fits the vibe of the album. Not one of the best, but not bad at all. 7 out of 10. Track number 9, second to last here. I'll Take Care of You. I feel like it's got an almost Graduation or Man on the Moon vibe with that dreamy synth in the opening and throughout, and it transitions to a faster drum line later on, but it keeps that synthesizer throughout the song. It's got no lyrics by Tyler, if I'm not mistaken. Feels more like an interlude or outro than anything, and I would have liked this to be the outro personally, because I feel like the next song is more of a bonus song almost. But overall, I gave this one a 7 out of 10 as well. Final track here at number 10, Tell Me What It Is. Blends well with the rest of the album, but it's not a must-have song on here, and I don't feel like it fits as well as an outro. It's alright, not as catchy, but not bad. 7 out of 10 for this one as well. And that is going to end all the songs on Don't Tap the Glass. I also wanted to mention That Guy, released shortly after these two albums. It's basically a remix, sorta, of Kendrick's Hey Now. It literally samples it and relies heavily on that production, as well as some interpolated elements from other songs, and the claps featured on Chromakopia, specifically Ratata. Tyler does a good job here, and it's actually a freestyle, but I feel like it feels a little written. I haven't heard Tyler freestyle in any other settings, though, so he could very well be good at it. It's a solid track, and I'd give that one an 8 out of 10, but ultimately, it's not going to affect the score of this album. So, back to Don't Tap the Glass. We've got a total of 10 tracks and an average score of a 7.7, which is the same as Chromakopia. However, I would give this album a higher score at an 8.5 personally, which is zero point 0.5 lower than the 9 that I gave Chromacopia, but in no way do I feel this is a bad album. I simply feel that while this is consistent and a solid track, it is definitely more for Tyler to express himself and be himself rather than go in depth or be storytelling or cohesive. It feels more like a mixtape or a more laid back album than a solid, cohesive project or a concept album, if you will. And as I said, great project, great album, still an 8.5, but not quite as good as Chromacopia or other projects by Tyler, such as Flower Boy or Igor, in my opinion. And with that, we have concluded our ratings for tonight. Anyhow, that's going to do it for today's video. If y'all enjoyed, please consider subscribing and ringing that bell, because what the hell. Also, drop a like and spread the hype. It really helps us out over here and keeps me going with the motivation to make these videos. And remember, if I don't see you all soon, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.